Hello. I am, well, I really don't like to say that. It sounds like I'm bragging or something, but I'm not. Trust me. I am God's chosen. A chosen vessel to, first of all, to carry His essence into this realm. Also, to be His mouthpiece. To talk to all of His people. And there are many of us, you know. Right now, what's going on, we're going to go into a new paradigm. And this paradigm says we're going to be moving to the new earth, as we're going to be, well, the new earth is already split, okay? But it's going to be up to us to make it what is prescribed for it to be. It will be a better place. There'll be more love, more integrity and understanding amongst people, and we'll just more compassion when it comes to dealing with other people, you know. And so that's what we're getting, okay? Right now, many people around the world are starting to wake up. And they're, you know, I am the first that's gone through these changes. You want to know where I've been? Well, going through those changes. And they don't have to be hard for y'all, because I've already mapped them out. But they were kind of difficult for me, because I have a rebel nature in me, but that's going to come in good for what I have to do in this time, because while the masses, for the most part, will find it better when all's said and done, it'll be a better life for them. There are those who are in power, and you know, old societies and whatnot that just aren't going to want that to happen. But you know, this isn't for them to say. This is for God, because it's why He's doing it. He's doing it for us. He's doing it for all the people. You know, not just those few that live on the higher end of life. So, excuse me. So let me start here, and first I'll tell you who I am. Now, I didn't know until 5 years ago that my whole existence was lived getting ready for these moments that are coming here very quickly. And everything that He put into me. I mean, for those of you who know me, and there aren't a whole lot of people that know me, but some people do. Some people will see me and not even know it's me. But of course, some will know me and they'll say, "Hey, I knew that guy," you know. What He placed in me was placed in me from before I was born. And I didn't know about it. Nobody told me. Of course, I was raised in a family that, oh, I think they're going to like this. But that's too bad. This is for God, and this is for God's people, okay? And a lot of you will have to do some readjusting into the ways that you are, but it's not that hard to do. I mean, you know, if you're surrounded by narcissists and things like that, if you don't know what that is, well, look it up. Well, then they're gonna kind of fight you on it, you know. But don't worry, because you'll want to get away from people like that, because they don't really, they don't have any care in their bones. They don't care about anybody else. They just want to do what they want to do, and they want you to help them do it and help pay for it, basically. Well, that really can't be. That's not a good thing for y'all. So, you don't want to kind of back away from those kind of people. And so, I mean, it could take a minute, but you'll want to get free of those people, because this is for people who, and a lot of people are scared about, or get kind of, well, they don't want anything to do with any kind of church or anything like that. This isn't about church. Churches don't bother me. I mean, it's nice to go and have fellowship with other people that think like you do. We worship God and we worship Jesus. That's a good thing. But be careful what you give away in your way of life, a way of what you see that church as, because that church isn't God. They may worship God, and they may, put fellowships together. And like I said, that's a good thing if that's what you're doing. But they can't control you. God is your keeper, and God is who runs us. That's why you need to wake up in your spirit, because we were born with a mind, we were born with a physical body, and we were born with a spirit that is very much alive, okay? So we've got to wake that up, and some of us are awake. Some of you are still asleep, don't even know what that means, But trust me, you're going to wake up, because heaven sending it down here to get it done, and that's part of my job. But so I'll tell you that. But when you do, you'll see things in a whole different way, and you'll become. I mean, that we have that so that we can know God. We can know the universe, the higher power, the one who created all of this. And what you see now, if you're not awake, is what you're seeing basically is kind of like a matrix. Nothing happens here that doesn't happen up in the ethers, and that's up in the spirit realm. It happens there first, always. Then it happens here. So you think you want to get $1 million? Okay, it's got to go up there. It's got to happen there first. God's going to approve it. And so you see, it's pretty. It's kind of like that. And for those of you who don't know it, now you do. But I mean, I woke up like 5 years ago, and I'm still waking up. There are still things going on as I ascend into a higher plane of that. But he says, you're going to be the leader on this thing. And I'm like, oh, really? Whoa. And that is a big order. But here's the deal. On this paradigm, as things start to change, there's going to be a reset in this realm of your spirit part of your body, of your being. And it's going to be a mass reset. And so don't be afraid of it. It may scare you, and that's normal, but don't worry about it, because you're going to be okay. I promise that you're going to be okay. You're just waking up, and when you do, many of you will have the gifts that you didn't know you had. That's a good thing, Many of you will find that you're really good at something that you didn't think you were good at before. A lot of things will come out of that spirit, and you'll always have inside of you, there's it's called the pineal gland. That's the one piece of your body that was built for talking to God, to see God. And now whatever you do with God, that's how you communicate with God. That's the part that lets you do that. And until it wakes up, pray all you will, you're not actually hearing God. So you want that to wake up, because when Jesus said, you will destroy this temple and I will raise it again in 3 days, what he meant by that was that temple was moved from where he tore that big old curtain down, opened up that Holy of Holies in that temple, and he placed a temple inside of you. And so we didn't need a intercessor. We didn't need any. Now, Jesus does intercede for us. He saved us. He conquered death. He conquered everything. And because of that, he paid for all of our sins. And when and a lot of people do this. I did it. I used to do it until God actually came to me and told me about it. That once you get saved, okay, it'd be wise to go get yourself baptized too. And the reason why is because that's a cleansing, okay, of the old. And I did it just because you don't have to be baptized into a religion or anything. I did it as an obedience to God, because Jesus did it. Then obviously it was something we're supposed to do. And that's what he's trying to get to a Christ consciousness, okay? Christ consciousness means you're going to work in your life. I mean, I don't compete with anybody. The only person I compete with is myself, to be a better person the next day as I was today. Sometimes I make it, sometimes I get worse. You'll go back and forth, but as long as you're improving or trying to improve and doing the best you can with it, God doesn't expect us to be perfect. That's why he's saying his son here that took care of all that. Okay? It doesn't say go out there and sin willfully and do the same thing you want and say that. No, can't do that. But it does give us grace to fail sometimes, and we know, we go to him, tell him, look, I did that, he's faithful to forgive us, okay? And so you'll want to keep that knowledge, and don't be guilty when you do something. Don't sit in guilt over it, because that guilt is what separates us from God. He told me that because I did it, and he came to me. He says, "What are you doing? Hey, you don't have to do that. That's not going to help us. Got a job to do, and you didn't do it. So don't be feeling guilty. Okay, I forgave you for every sin you've ever done, and my son paid for those sins. So get back to work and do what you're supposed to be doing, and don't be feeling guilty. Get rid of that guilt." And that's when I understood that we are forgiven. As long as we are faithful. So don't fall back on your faith and think that, oh, I screwed up so bad. So what? You've screwed up. Forgive yourself and move on. That's what you do. That's what he told me, and that's what I do. Okay? Okay, now knowing all that, okay, because those are the first things to do with your spirit. Because that and love is about all we can take from this planet when we go, is our spirit and the love that we had on this earth. We actually get to take that with us. There's nothing else we take. You go butt naked in that spirit, okay? So, I had to be joking. But don't worry. And your ancestors will be there waiting for you. And God, them will be, just go back up there with what I just told you, and I promise you're going to get in. Okay? God's not sitting up there waiting to throw us into the fire. As long as we are doing the best we can at being people and not going around screwing people over and ripping them off and killing them and doing all those mean old things that people do, because they really do. I'm kind of pure, and I'm just kind of naive and innocent. But I got kind of weird shit going on. Okay? So don't be doing that shit. But if you're doing anything, go to God. Get some forgiveness and before you die, anyway. But you want to have some kind of relationship with God, because God will talk to you just like anybody else. He's not going to get on your knees and bow down to me. It's not like that. God loves us, and He loves us as the children, His own children. Okay? He made us for a reason, that we would be there, we would love Him, we would honor Him, we would praise Him, just like He does with us. And He does. I get told all the time, you're doing a great job, and I'm proud of you. So, God's got every kind of emotion in Him that we have. We were built in His image, okay? So, the only thing He's got that we ain't got, He's got powers that we don't have. And He's God, there's something. Now, I don't know if we'll ever get there, but He is working awful hard to get us back to Eden, okay? Get us back to a life that's not so difficult, and so that we can be happy. Because many people out there aren't, they're just not happy. He put a world together. He didn't want a bunch of kings and all that stuff, and we had to bow to kings all the time and everything. No, He was a king. And when it comes to be that we've got this new earth going real good, we're going to be working real hard and doing the right things to make heaven on earth. Because when that happens, His Son will come, and He will be the leader of all of us. And we won't have to have a bunch of corrupt governments and a bunch of corrupt people running us. Okay? Because one thing we can be sure of, God loves us, and He's going to treat us like He loves us, and He's going to take care of us. He's going to give us all the ways that He'll teach us everything we need to know to take care of ourselves and be good people. And that there is no fault in that. There's no, we should like to know that when you do go, your kids are going to get a better world, not a worse world. And right now, what we're giving, this generation fell away a lot. That's why I'm here, because this generation kind of fell away from God. And it wasn't all our fault. It was like, it's just, old ways were forgotten. You know what I mean? And so that's why we need to get back to God showing us what is needed here. And I know you heard people that we need to get this country back to God. Well, it ain't just this country. We need to get the whole world back to God. And don't worry, He's going to sort it out. But He's given us also the knowledge to help sort it out for us. And I'm telling you, we can make it a lot better than it is right now. And I'm not trying to change the world, because God's going to do that just fine. But I am the leader of how we're going to get over there to that new earth. And that's why me and 144,000 light workers are out there to help mankind transition over to that way of life. And that way of life, I don't know if there'll be a lot of new things, and there'll be a lot of ways that are good, that maybe from the old ways that, you know, and well, there has to be so much big pharma going on, trying to keep us sick all the time, you know, and none of us, you know, we want to all be working ourselves, you know, 18 and 19 hours a day, you know, just trying to make a living. Because that ain't right. But that's going on in some parts of the world, and even here in the United States. People are working their fingers to the bone just trying to keep food on the table. And that's sad. It should not be that hard. You know. Also, part of my job will be, there are people in need, I'll be there to help them. You know, if they are truly in need, they're working tirelessly still, they need some help. Well, we're gonna do some things that help those people. You know, things that the government should have done, but they didn't. You know, and another thing that's going to stop is all these wars going on. Which is killing Mother Gaia, who is the Earth. And it's killing a lot of people who aren't even getting a chance to live very long before they're killed in a war. And it's all just so keep those higher ups in the money, and basically that's what's going on. Okay? So, but I'm the blueprint. I'm the blueprint of what to do, how to get yourselves together enough as this reset starts going about. And people are probably going to be coming to me and saying, hey man, what do I do, man? Well, I'm getting all weird, fast feeling, and feel like I'm, you know, head spinning sometimes. There are weird, you get symptoms, you know, symptoms. Man, right now I've got muscles and everything else going bad, and that's why I'm in my workout clothes, you know. And I waited till the end of the night to do this because I wanted to study on what I was supposed to be saying, and, you know. Now there'll probably be some people who will hate me. Well, I tell you what, ever since I took this place, and took this part of God's story, you know, boy, I tell you what, I went through a 5-year war with people who I knew and I thought cared about me. I don't know why they do it, you know, but, you know, the best I can do is try to forgive them, but still, yeah, they still got a lot to give back because they took a lot. That's all I can say about that. I'm not going to air that out right now. But know this, they don't get to treat me like that anymore. And I'm sure they're knowing that by now. I'm sure they're feeling the pinch. Anyway, let's see, where was I? Okay. Up there. You'll want to, in your waking up, if you aren't woke yet, you'll want to, you'll probably spend a lot of time alone. You know, if you have, you know, if you're called to do a job for God in this thing, and a lot of the white light workers will be, and they know probably by now what that is going to be, and you know, most of all those things that the service, to be in service of you know, people that don't know anything about what's going on. But trust me, you won't have to ask. They will just come forth to help, because that's what we do, and it's like it's written into us. I mean, some of us didn't even come from this planet, believe it or not. You want to know if there are aliens here? Yeah, they've been here all along. But you know, they come down in a human form. I mean, you know, they're not walking around like the grays with the black eyes and all that. I've never seen one of those. Now, are there any? Well, the way I understand, according to this Air Force general, yeah, there were, but those things were kind of like a biological, a robot kind of thing, but it's not really a robot. It's more biological. But I mean, their spaceship wrecked in 1947. Two of them died, but one was still alive, and then some army guy shot it. Because they'd run away. So I'm sure that's the kind of stuff, and someday, when they think that the world can take it and understand it, it will be disclosed, I guess. And I didn't really care about it one way or the other. I'm more concerned with things that actually happened on this planet that really did go wrong, and that was like they had the Watchers way back before Noah. When they were down here, and all they were supposed to do was watch the humans. How did we come about to be the humans that we are today? Well, I think they pretty much took we had human beings here. They were human. They were some kind of a human, and we did evolve. Once we came to a certain point, they mixed our genetics up with something that wasn't us. And that was where Adam and Eve and love came from. Okay? And it enlightened them at a time when, whenever they ate from that tree of good and evil, well, then they got more knowledge than they were supposed to have gotten. They were enlightened whenever Adam and Eve were built. Here's Adam. They needed somebody to work in the Garden of Eden, this place it was kind of a special place, and it was for those people that were actually built from this two different genetics. Okay. Other than them, now there were still plenty of people out there in the world that weren't in Eden. Okay. And so when Cain slew Abel, you wonder how, or all that stuff went on. And there were some that actually made it past that flood. Not everybody died. There's some people who had enough sense to get ready when they saw Noah doing it. I'm sure he caught a lot of hell. But that's who we originate from, is Noah. Now, because most of all that Adam's seed was destroyed in that flood. And of course, the reason that happens because when those Watchers came down and they mated with women, the way I understand it is that they made giants, and those giants were ravenous beasts, and they even got to where they were eating human beings, And I believe, according to some of the things you see in books, a few of them made it and lived. And the way I understand it, the Marines actually found one in those caves in Afghanistan. Now, and I believe that, because I was a Marine, and Marines don't lie about shit like that. That's the one service in this America who are faithful, and they believe in God, and they take to God to every combat that they go to. That's where I was, and that's the way they are. Now, I'm not saying that the other ones aren't faithful. I'm sure they all are, but it's something that's written into our creed, and that's why we say Semper Fidelis. That means always faithful, And to all you fellow Marines out there, hey, Semper Fi, brothers. keep on doing what you're doing. You're doing great. Okay. Anyway, so just jabbering away there, some things that I know. Now, some of us are ancient beings. We've been here a very long time. And when we finally remember everything that we're supposed to remember, then we'll use that knowledge in order to further this planet. And because in this thing, whenever this new Earth, God replenishes, because look how much has been stripped from the Earth. They drilled for all this oil, they've taken all the minerals out of it, and although we try to eat good, some of those things don't produce as much good in our food as they used to, because our soil is depleted, and it's time to replenish it all, and God will do that. God takes care of us. I mean, he does that stuff. He will maybe even teach us how to do it, I mean, I don't know. I don't know God's job. I do know that he's a busy guy, and but I know that he looks out for us. And so you want to get to know God, and he wants you to get to know him, be in gratitude for all of this, that's something that is very important, because a lot of people, and myself even too, that sometimes I don't have enough gratitude, but I need to, and that's I have to remember who it is that takes care of me, and you can believe that God's got you covered. He knows everything that is good that comes to you doesn't come to you unless God approves it. I mean, it doesn't just happen. Like I said, everything happens in the ethers, then it happens here. So nothing happens there without being approved by God. That's just the way things are. I mean, God made us for a reason, and he said we're going to do it this way, and he watches us, because listen, we are all his creation. And some of us have fallen away from that way, In fact, he even said, in the beginning of this, he says, I'm not giving this over to the religious sects to do this job, because I don't want it turned into something of religion. I want it to be done as people, the people and my creation. I wanted us to do it to help each other, not for one religion to take a hold of it and lie like some of these religions have done, where you see them trying to sell people their salvation. And that happened, back in the times of when the Roman Catholic Church and things like that, because it was never supposed to be sold. It was free given. That's why, a lot of times whenever I do things for people, I don't go and ask anybody for anything. I just do it, because it was given. If it's given freely to me, I'm gonna freely give it. Because that's what I was taught, and I believe that's a pretty good deal. And so being a healer and those gifts are being, even as you speak, are being grown and stronger. And that's because I asked for that. I want to be able to heal people that really do need to be healed. And, Jesus did it, and he said that we do bigger things than he did. And with all the people that are broken and unhealed right now, we need all the help we can get, and God wants us to have it. He wants us to have that. Okay. One thing I'll say for God, hey, listen. When he came to me and talked to me the first time, he asked me to do this thing, go on this journey with him. The thing I said to him was, I guess it was probably something he wanted to hear, because that night, I understand now that I was the only one who said yes. And that's kind of sad. Here's a God that looks out for us, all of our lives, and half of us don't even realize it. And then when he asks us to do something, we tell him no. That to me is unheard of. No, I would never say no to God, because God is, like I said, God's not going to sit and order you to do something. He gives us all free will. You know what I mean? So, when he asks, he's asking. You can tell him no. No, I don't want to do that, God. I know that. I don't feel comfortable doing that. Okay. And let's go on your merry way. Because you have free will. Me, myself, I appreciate God for who he is and what he has to do here. And what he did for us. All the things that he does. So when he asks me if I want to do something, hey, I'm all in. Because he's not going to do something. We've got God. He's already sent his son over to die for us. Okay, and yeah, there are some jobs that you may do, some things you ask that could actually be dangerous. But I know this much. Am I able to be reborn? Yeah. If I go and die for something God told me to do, I am not worried about it, because I know, quick as he can get me awake again, he's going to wake me up. Okay? And that's the best gift of all, because we weren't going to die in that garden. When he told us that if you do that, you will surely die, what he meant was our spirits, the things that some of you don't even have awoke yet, will die. And when that happens, you won't wake up again. So, you want to wake that up and get it forgiven and all that stuff, and be the whole person that you're meant to be, which is basically the three parts of you, and all three parts of those wake up, and a whole lot of the world and the universe awakens to you, and you awaken to it. It ain't bad, because there's a whole lot out there. Think about Star Trek. I love that show. Yeah. I can tell you some stories. I have pretty cute stories. Let's see, what else am I going to tell you? Anyway, this reset, it's best that you're going to do that, and make sure that you're, getting a relationship going with Jesus. I talked to the Most High, and the person that came, I guess, was probably Jesus. I called him God, but there's, because the very highest of the Most High, I don't think he comes down here. But now, I carried some entity, and he came to me and said, "Listen, I'm gonna put myself inside of you, part of me inside of you." He did that. I can remember these times like yesterday. After I woke up, and I didn't. Hell, I was barely awake myself, but he did. He came to me. He said, "Listen, I need to put part of myself inside of you, and that doesn't mean you're going to be God." I hear people say that, "We are God." No, you're not. Trust me, and I'm not either. But I carried God inside of me. His essence, part of it, anyway. Some of it's still up there, but part of it, him was in me, and he said, "I'm going to put some of myself inside of you because you're going to need it." Okay, and so I went through this process where they just stretched my soul. Kind of stretched it out, and it make more room inside of me. Did it pump me up? No, don't want like that. But they did that. I remember them doing it and telling me that's what they were doing. And so, when you're one day I was being attacked mercilessly, and then and I thought that I really wasn't supposed to do anything about it. But everybody kept telling me that I was very powerful. And I didn't feel very powerful. I felt just like me, and I didn't know anything about all that power. Well, anyway, so for a little while, Jesus was one of my guides, okay? Him and his wife, actually, who she taught me about love, okay? Not, that kind of love, but love as in unconditional love, okay? And, because Jesus got married down here. He's still married to her today. Which I wish that they would have put that in the Bible and not taken it out of the Bible, because it was something that we all needed to know. Just how important that kind of love is. And so that they made it to where it's some kind of a sin to be. Your human body is not a sin, okay? And it expresses its love in that way. That's not a sin itself, but too many people corrupt that, Anyway, so where was I? Train of thought. Anyway, so they were, just tearing into me, doing mean kind of crap to me. And Jesus told me, he said, why don't you listen, you don't have to just be be someone to batter on. Listen, you're allowed to fight back to some degree. You can make them stop. I said, really? Yeah. He said, well, let me tell you that inside of you, right now, you've got the same power inside of you that created the heavens and the earth. You don't think that you have power? I said, well, okay. Does that mean I have the authority of that? He said, yeah, you do. And I called upon the angels and I said, well then, angels, that, because you're surrounded by angels who take care of you. And I said, angels, go get them and make them stop, and whatever you need to do, take care of that, because I don't know what they're actually doing, but I'd like it to stop. I'm getting tired of being attacked. And boy, I tell you what, the next day I heard that these people got angels know how to tear someone's ass up, and they hit a lot harder than we do. So people will try to attack you and whatnot. Not attack you physically, maybe, but they'll do stuff that means you, and anything they can do to make you not turn to the light. And by the way, when I was asked what I was supposed to do, they said, you are the light of the world. That's me. I am that guy who carries that light of God. Okay? And that light is, well, let's just say the darkness they can't defeat the light. It's like, if it's dark in your house, what do? You flip on a light switch, and where's the dark? The dark goes away, and it's exposed. Everything in the house is exposed. And that's what the light does. It's not just that, but it does that. And it exposes the dark and evil. If there's something going on evil in the house, when you turn that light on, you can see it. And think of it like that. Make it simple like that. You don't have to make it any more than that. And if you got someone walking around, and there are people out there are a lot of people walking around out there who don't have a soul because they've sold their souls. That really happens. And there's a lot of people out there who are just dark. They're just kind of evil, you know. Can they be turned back? I don't know. I mean, I tried to turn a lot of these people back, and they've had to get their butts kicked a lot, and you know, they may be softening up. I hope that they are. You know, God doesn't want anyone to be lost. He doesn't have a wish to take us and have to burn us and end that part of that spirit, because it doesn't live through it. You know, it's gone. It's dead forever. You know, and we've all got loved ones who we would think that, yeah, he's kind of our old, you know. But who's to say that 10 years down the road he doesn't turn his life around? You see what I mean? So we have to think of it like that, because, you know, in Ephesians it tells us we are wrestling with flesh and blood. These are demons and things like that in high places who may be taking over somebody's body, and that happens a lot. I've got brothers and sisters like that who I know are that way, and I've only now just gotten to where I'm ordained that I can get rid of that. I can make them get out of them, leave them alone. You know? But you got to make sure they're ready for that to happen, because a lot of people want that there. They just don't understand what that's going to be like, or what that can stop as far as their soul going on concerns. You know, I don't know the whole ins and outs of heaven. I don't know that. I know that I have real ancestors who run the underworld, and the underworld is right here. It's underneath the ground, and I've heard from people who have actually died and went there to be able to come back and tell us what it was like. And it is a very wicked. People there are screaming and they're crying, and they know they could never get out of there. So you don't want to go there. You want to stay on the side of the light. So this reset is gonna shake things up a little bit, I think. And you've seen some of the warnings of, you know, like the weather and the fires and the earthquakes and whatnot. Those are warnings to mankind to straighten it up, get it right. You know what I mean? So know that. And so the better life that you can live and teach your kids how to live, and start weeding out some of these ways that our generation fell at, because we didn't know we were failing. Things that were just lost, and the hustle and bustle of the world that got it lost. Okay, and it wasn't taught to us. But don't worry, we're going to get it back. Okay, so. But it's up to us to make sure all those real bad things in Revelation don't happen. They don't have to happen. God can rewrite the story all day. I've seen him do it. He rewrites the story. I passed a lot of tests, so a lot of those things got cut out, and that matters, you know. And the more good that we do, as opposed to the bad that we could do, get those stories rewritten. You know, but one thing I am sure of is, and though I don't know the date, and neither does Jesus, that he's coming back, and he's coming back soon, because we are in that time. When the new earth was being built, I knew then that he's going to be here soon, and we want there to be heaven on earth. So we got to get to it and get to working that and becoming citizens of that earth. You know what I mean? So I'm going to cut it off here. It's been about 40-something minutes. It's like 50 minutes, and that's longer than most people can do. You know, I try to keep it less than that, but let me say a little prayer for us, you know, for mankind. Father, You know who I am, and I'm coming. I'm asking. I still believe with everything in me that mankind is worth saving, and I believe that you think that way too. And so I would ask that you move in a way that shows the world the love of God and teaches them what they can do to help us to get back on the right track. And I know you can do all that. And you told me one time, just believe the impossible is possible, and you will see it happen. Well, that's kind of, right now, at times it seems impossible, but I'm going to believe that is possible. So, you promised me a miracle, and I'm going to share that miracle with the world and ask you to use that miracle to rain your spirit down on this world and bring good to out far away any bad that we have on this planet. And I'm going to pray it in Jesus' holy name, and I'm going to believe that you can do it. And I'm going to tell everybody good night, and all the children said, Amen.